So I swear pizza's coming. We have some troops downstairs. Bring it up. So this is the second lunch and learn for just getting to know people in our landscape competitors. This one actually is strictly focused on competitors. I thought everyone did a great job last time. We did it individually, was shorter. And our goal with this one was to put people into groups, do a deeper dive, a little bit longer. And what we're trying to focus on is that when you're out in the field and you hear people reference these companies, hopefully now you'll have a little bit of background, and also maybe you can also get into how we're different and ultimately how we're better. So with that, we have a volunteer for first group, and not John Wilstermans because he's on Pizza Patrol. Bobby.
Good.
Alrighty. So we were assigned Media 6 degrees, which is now distillery. So just a brief company overview. Their new name is now distillery. It was founded in 2008 by Rod Hope, Kathy Leek, and David Honig. They are headquartered in New York City, around 110 employees. They received about $28 million in funding, and they work with over 400 top-tier brands. They also know that they are ranked as one of Forbes' America's most promising companies and ranked best place to work in New York. They also acquired mobile data firm Everscreen in July of 2013, which we will look into.
Okay, so here are some fun facts about distillery. 76% of the employees prefer dogs over cats, so they're a winner right away. 83% of the company is right-handed. Fun fact, I believe 36% of ad ops is left-handed here, so well, actually, they have unlimited vacation, so if anybody's interested in making a move, they have unlimited vacation. 26% believe in aliens, and 22% are delusional because they believe they can fly. That's on their website. They also have unlimited vacations.
Should we bring in Dan Higginbotham?
The three products that they offer is the first one is location intelligence, and this provides location data insight to marketers to build a stronger audience. And this has happened after they acquired Everscreen, so they have the ability to capture location-based insights from different devices such as smartphones and tablets, and deliver the appropriate message. The second product that they offer is native, and this is kind of a contextual advertising, such as using social media, such as Twitter, where they can communicate with already active members to promote the product and promote the campaign. And one of the things that we love to brag about is the Twitter Tailored Audience Program, which because of this, they have shown some evidence that they have boost engagement rate and conversion rates, which we will later explain. And the third product is multi-platform, and this is them using the distillery award-winning data science to capture the right audience and also to determine how to best deliver the message. And this is kind of the reason why they changed the word from Media 6 to distillery, because they can distill the information and give it to the right audience and to give them the right message as well.
Okay, so here are their market positions. Distillery positions themselves as a pioneer, or Mike just ever called them maverick, in marketing technology. They claim to be at the forefront of advertising technology, finding new ways to create good brand value for their marketers. They do this by extracting signals for the complete customer journey, and they will also hit them across multiple devices. Like us, they very much live in programmatic buying. The original offering was based on the idea that if they knew you, and they knew your friends, and they knew what you bought, they would by definition know what your friends bought. Hence the previous name of Media 6 degrees. They are considered a targeting network AMP.
So distillery gets their data from sources. They try to combine the digital and physical worlds. This is their way of preparing for a cookieless environment. And this is how they get more pure audience. So they get their browsing behavior data from their actual advertiser website analytics, and then they they connect that data with their machine learning. They also collect geolocation data, much like we do, but they have in the past tried to target people in a stadium for an advertiser that wanted to target NFL fans or a travel advertiser that wanted to target people who often go to Las Vegas, so they could figure that out. They also collect IP address data and connect devices, so they can target not only a smartphone but also a laptop of the same IP address. And they also look at social networks, so if a customer likes a brand, they try to find who they're associated with on a social network and also target them as well. So they get their inventory from many of the same ways. They have some of the ad exchanges like Google and Nexus. They rely heavily on these exchanges to block suspicious publishers. They also have a third-party service that allows them to shut off delivery for certain publishers that have inappropriate content. And in-house, they try to block users that have gone to too many suspicious sites in too short of a time. That's a Google Doc download issue.
Google Doc. Yeah, the fourth. The fourth technology that we believe that distinguishes us from the competitors is one. The main one is Crosswalk, and it's a multi-device intelligence for optimal multi-platform delivery, and which basically means it allows them to match different profiles with different devices, and to give them and to track their journey, the digital journey. So, in layman terms, that means if you're ever on the computer and you're searching for a laptop, and then you decide to go on your smartphone and continue searching for this, then you go back home and purchase the laptop all within a day, days. This technology is able to distinguish that, to see that you're not three different customers, but you're one customer, and as a result, they're able to gather better information and to give a better insight to their marketers. And these are the three ways that they believe benefits them compared to the competitors. One of them is skill with comprehension, which means that with all the data they have, that they can give the marketers a better audience for the brand. Multi-platform reach is just telling them that they could distinguish, they could show impressions through different devices such as smartphones, tablets, as well as the TV. And experience and know-how. They have been working on this for the past 5 years, and they also have won an award for this. So they're just kind of bragging, saying that they have experience and they have proof to back it up. Prospect Rank delivers relevant audience to marketers, and this is just this technology just gives them the ability to rank good audience compared to bad audience, and give them some type of scoring system to give to the marketers to say, hey, this is what we believe you should target. These are less likely audience that would boost your conversion rate. Location intelligence, we really went over this, but it provides location data and insight to marketers to build a stronger audience. And Houston, which is a real-time platform for the mobile device.
So Distillery offers several success metrics, many of the same that we do here at OwnerIQ. They include branding reach, CPA, and CTR. So a case study of a food brand boasted a 0.42% CTR. They do note that this is 36% above the industry average, so obviously they didn't sit through Jay's CTR as opposed to stat class, because if they did, they wouldn't have had this up there. Distillery also used FBX on a CPA campaign to come in 36% under goal, which is interesting. I believe 36% was around the same number that John Wayne came up with for Time Warner Cable of 36%, so it seems like that's actually a trend in the industry. What's interesting was the number of case studies for video completion rate. They had 9 up on their website, and 4 of them were about videos, and the fact that they had over 50% video completion rate, which is impressive. They also claim that they partnered with DoubleClick Ad Exchange, so not just Google, but just the exchange itself, to sniff out suspicious traffic and remove it from consideration, which is also interesting coming from the 0.42% CTR. So from what we know and what they say, they don't always go hand in hand.
So a little bit more about the every screen acquisition. It has allowed them to go beyond just relying on cookies. They portray it as looking discreetly and anonymously when it comes to pulling location data from PC to tablets to mobile. And then also another feature was their Twitter campaigns. Some of the advertisers they tested with were Verizon, Western Union, HubSpot, and New Relic. Some of the results they saw were engagement rate lists as high as 170%, and then conversion rate lists as high as 195%. During this campaign, it allowed users to engage with promoted tweets, which were more likely to purchase on a brand's website.
So we believe one of the threats to ONRQ is that they have multi-platform targeting. They can match devices targeting anyone, a certain user. And they also use mobile location in unique ways. Like I said, they can target a stadium specifically. But I do think device matching might be in our future, so it won't be a threat for long. And they're also preparing for a cookieless world, which I thought was interesting. I think we're far away from that, but they are preparing. And this is their way of staying ahead of ad hoc. And they also look at advertising more holistically. It's not only through real-time bidding, but they do native, like through Twitter to their audiences and social media in general.
OIQ does have some competitive advantages, though, economically. In-house control of domain inventory. So Distillery relies heavily on exchanges to prevent fraud, whereas we have that's monitored by crazy on a weekly basis. On a CTR, Distillery boasts a 0.4 CTR, yet is, quote, leader in blocking fraudulent activity. You are what you own. Distillery uses information about what your friends and brand, what your friends' interests are, as opposed to what we say is these behaviors are pushing forward. Robust data from data partners and brands at product levels. Distillery relies on advertisers' own analytics and website level information. So to kind of bring it to a close, one of the things we want to do is go to the source and try to find out what does our sales team say when Distillery comes in the way of ONRQ to buy. So where Distillery says they build a custom audience by analyzing patterns of shared behaviors that demonstrate a proven connection to your brand. ONRQ's advantage, we reach shoppers and shoppers buy shit. Steve Saris.
Did they provide any information about like how they're able to do that? The thing that was interesting to me was their whole ability to be able to go between mobile device and desktop, and not having to rely on the conversation about not having to rely on cookies. Like, how do they marry that? And how they figure that out? I mean, I don't know that they provide much insight on how that works, but I'm just curious.
I think two ways. One is the IP address across multiple devices is the same, I guess, for one user. And then the other way is with their location intelligence, they can see if laptops are next to each other, and they associate two laptops next to each other or two devices.
And it's just interesting because the IP addresses change all the time. Me
Like
browsing
when
at
you
home,
refresh
me
it or
browsing
whatever.
here, just wouldn't be able to connect.
If they're having a social role, like, are they looking at like am I logging in on Facebook on my phone versus Facebook on your computer? Are they
Right,
looking at
they can probably connect the two IP addresses.
Yeah, I'm not
But
sure.
it could be like logging into the relationship.
And
Actually, they're logins.
yeah, the other thing that piqued my interest was with the comment about the native advertising, where like, do they have direct relationships, I guess, then with some of those folks to be able to kind of brand that as a native ad, especially if they're like buying it presumably through the exchanges.
Sounds like relationships with social media sites like
They have a
Twitter.
direct relationship, like a direct piping in,
Yeah.
so that,
More and more exchanges are offering native as well.
okay.
And the only other thing, so Grace, did you find anything about what they're doing for the cookieless world? I mean, yeah, they're gaining offline data, but they're still very reliant on cookies.
Yeah, I was thinking
So
that. Like
it
they,
doesn't really seem like they're comparing themselves, they're just kind of gaining more offline data to match with their online data.
Right, but I think they use their, I mean, I guess an advertising website still uses cookies, but
Yeah.
they definitely rely on the advertising rather than their own
Did
cookies.
they tout like a particular lift in performance when they're utilizing that, like as opposed to not necessarily having that kind of piping or?
Not really. I mean, I don't know if anybody else had the same experience from trying to get the information from the client's website or the competitor's website. Everything is so flowery written where it almost doesn't make sense. It's like the point about the cross brand and the lift from the cookieless part. It almost seemed like they were saying it to let people know that that's on their mind, but they weren't very clear on how they were going to do that.
And they keep saying they're preparing, they're not there yet, but they're thinking about it, so they tend to put that on.
Nobody called in to be a potential attend advertiser. Tell me more, please.
I was gonna say, sometimes it's more about what people say on their sites, and it's the same thing, where it's like they'll really hype up certain aspects, and then they'll leave others missing, and then, well, okay, well, those really maybe aren't so hot, they don't wanna mention them.
Yeah, a big part of their site was the section they called Kudos to Us, where they talked about all the awards and the amazing things they did, which I then checked to see if Owner IQ had a page like that, and it didn't seem like we did, which was good, because, you know, when you're that good, you don't have to tell people they kind of know, so, interesting.
Alright, so it looks like pizza is here, so we'll have the guys run down and get it, but in the meantime, if another team wants to hop up, we can get started and then do a pizza break right after.
Use this just because of those Google things I missed in front Cool. So we did our Loomis Dathon Quantcast, company number 2 to Owner IQ. You'll see that they do share a lot of aspects that we do. I will be more clear about that, but there's really distinct differences that we're hoping you guys can pinpoint. We're going to ask you some questions before we go into our slide about what makes us different. We're hoping you guys pick up on exactly what we picked up on while researching on that. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to help. Cool.
So Quantcast was founded in 2006 by Conrad Plowman and Paul Sutter. Their headquarters is located in San Francisco. They also have offices in New York, Chicago, London, and Dublin. Quantcast specializes in audience measurement and real-time advertising. They offer products such as display, mobile, FBX, and pre-roll. Quantcast relies heavily on pixel tracking to measure their data, and they claim to have the most in-depth understanding of audiences across the web. Today, they measure traffic on over 100 million web destinations worldwide. Quantcast has two main products that they offer, Quantcast Measure and Quantcast Advertise. Quantcast Measure is the company's proprietary audience measurement solution. This product processes elements such as reach, traffic, frequency, demographics, and interests found on publisher sites. Another feature under Quantcast Measure is Quantcast Measure for Apps. And this is a service that tracks mobile application usage across iOS and Android devices. And this product provides insight into how to find and attract new users, and it also makes sense of how users migrate between different platforms. Their second product, Quantcast Advertise, helps meet performance and brand objectives through prospecting and, a combination of prospecting and retargeting algorithms. What they'll do is they'll tag digital assets across all these different platforms and then use their in-house algorithms to map ideal consumers and then others that look just like them. Under this product, they also give advertisers the opportunity to expand reach across social platforms like FBX and Twitter, and they also help advertisers achieve brand awareness through pre-roll.
So like Christina said,
essentially split themselves into two different products, the market and the advertising, and they position themselves with these different products as well. But their measure tool is sold exclusively to publishers for free. So they can place their tracking system on any publisher's website for free, and the publisher can look at that data themselves. And doing this, they have, as they said, they boast over 100 million web and mobile destinations, and they have some of the top tier websites as well, including Yelp, BuzzFeed, LinkedIn, BC News, Huffington Post, and 51 of the top 100 visited U.S. sites. And then, so what they do with this is they also have their advertising side. And the first thing they do with that is they can sell this compiled data from publishers to advertisers to see the data on the website, such as the reach, frequency, the demographics. And then they also split it up into selling the services as a media planning tool, which they use to create predictive models to purchase media, which might sound a little familiar to us. But the way they do this is they heavily focus on being able to determine the demographic targeting of people, such as their age, gender, and income, and all this comes from their network. They will also create advertiser lookalike targeting designed to discern who's clicking on ads, who's visiting a site with preferences, and to find similar users across the U.S. And this is done through a data management platform, so you to connect audience and predict behaviors. And the way they get all this data is through tags. You put a tag on publishers' websites, you see a list.
It's identical to ours. And what you guys will notice, and what I wanted Brian to focus on, this is like their generic JavaScript tag, which is very much like our tag. Their other tag, so all this demographic data, all this segmenting data, they make their clients do. They make their publishers actually implement a tag and implement a line of code like we've done millions of times for multiple conversion pixels, all that stuff. And where you guys see the sports.football men's lifestyle, that's on the publisher to insert. Without doing that, they don't get segmented data and they don't get demographic data. So Quantcast is touting all this segmenting data and all this demographic data, but they're not doing any of it. They're just collecting it and proposing it. It's actually 100% on the publisher to go across their website, implement these tags so that that data gets sucked into Quantcast, versus us where we automatically get that data from page headers, brands and products people are looking at, and then we have a team that actually segments it and goes through it, quality checks it, does all that stuff, where they're solely relying on the publisher doing all of that work.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So they need to, for every single page on the site, they have to go through, take this
Got
code and adjust it for every single page.
Got it. Unless they have a group of pages that they all know are sports football.
And they can just-
Then they can do it across all those, but yeah, they essentially would have to do this
So
very, very,
same
very meticulous.
Same goes for like other demographic data that they might be selecting, male, female, age, it's like there's some sort of order of code in
You
there.
have to insert whatever you think the page content is. There's no overlay data. At first, we all thought, and Libby actually exposed this today and sent it out to us, we all thought, okay, maybe they're using a third-party provider that we used in the past, like Excelate or somebody, to overlay data to get that demographic stuff. They're not. They're solely relying on the tag passing it back to them. So it's not everything that they're saying it is.
How do you find this out? Should you just by going to look at like their?
They actually talk about it on their
Oh,
site
really?
because they do offer this for free. So like versus us where we have data partnerships,
Yeah.
I could go on Quantcast right now, go to my own personal website, take their tag and put it on there if I wanted to. They allow any publisher, anybody to take a tag and go at it. They don't care.
And then they say that's part of their pool.
Correct. So they're offering their service for free versus us where we're striking deals and partnerships.
So their technology is a lot like ours as well. They use machine learnings to identify audiences, see patterns, and go after other audiences that are similar. They take their advertisers' target consumer profile, match it with their own learnings to anticipate behaviors, and they use a path to conversion to maximize advertisers' goals. So very, very similar. And then the advertisers can also use this data to create their own consumer profile using publisher information or other specific websites. Audience data has been gathered on over 1 million people from directly measured web activity that have that pixel placed. Couple case studies. Here, Rocky on Broadway, they used big data and predictive intelligence to drive reach via display, MVX, and pre-roll. And basically they took different profiles of people who are interested in boxing and people who are interested in Broadway and trying to find those consumers elsewhere. And here's some stats here. Seems like they did a good job. The Florist case study measured conversions, and they took the Florist unique audience profile and tried to match it with other profiles where they found patterns similar. And delivered 12% more revenue with 50% less spend, and 100% of targeted conversions were delivered within the first 48 hours. So good stats there.
OnePass talks about 3 additional features on their site. One of them is the compare tool. You can access this through OnePass site without logging in. You can search for a publisher's site like BuzzFeed.com and compare it against your site. You can search up to 3 sites and it will show what the site visits are, unique people and page views. It'll also display it in a really pretty graph. They also talk about a custom publisher badge. It's essentially like a plugin that publishers can post on their site if they want to tout the number of page views they're seeing or any information about their site. It's customizable, so if the publisher doesn't want to display everything about site views, they can either include or exclude information. And they also talk about a cross-platform activity report. This report looks at demographic data, as Adam mentioned, might not be 100% accurate or reliable. And you can look at demographics such as age, gender, household income, education, ethnicity, on web versus mobile applications. Potential threats to OwnerIQ. The fact that they can report across platforms, even though they don't serve mobile, they can still look at mobile app and web data. They talk a lot about prospecting through their beyond big data that they tout and predictive intelligence. They also have a lot of information on publisher profiles, whereas we look at manufacturer and retailer data. Publisher profiles is a lot of data, so they have a lot to look at, but it might not necessarily be 100% accurate or tailored. And they also have really effective marketing strategies. There's a case study that they listed on their site, and it's about a campaign they were running with Travelocity. And through the campaign, they discovered that a lot of folks interested in going to Las Vegas were also interested in vegan food and yoga mats. So at first, Travelocity was like, what's going on here? That makes 0 sense. But Quanticast was able to prove that there was a yoga convention being held in Las Vegas, which made complete sense for the campaign. So they optimized towards those users and then saw 80% lift. And just to show you how good their marketing is, I'm going to play a video for you. Zoom. Is there audio? Turn it up.
So they have a lot of bells and whistles. So real quick, what do you guys think is our advantage before we go into it from a data perspective, product perspective, and a market position?
We have prizes.
Wow.
Any takers? New York, anybody? Max.
That we don't have to depend on like a third party entering the quantitative data correctly. So with our data, we can be confident that it's entered correctly because we know the systems that go behind it. Whereas for them, it could be someone messing up or categorizing them incorrectly, and then maybe basing their whole approach on wrong data.
Yep. So New York, I don't know if you caught that, but Matt said pretty much instead of relying on the publishers and our clients to do all the segmenting of their data, we have a team that does that and qualifies it. So we're not, relying on them to give us bad signals and to get it right the first time. We have a team to actually do that. So, what do you want to get at?
Good job.
And they're actually Quantcast goodies that
Quantcast goodies.
we actually got from that shit. Anybody from a product perspective, how do we compare? Anybody?
I'm getting back anyways.
Okay. And anybody about the market position before I go into it? No? Okay. No problem.
No one's listening.
So, as we already talked about the data, Owner IQ is focused on quality data over the quantity of data. We have a lot of retail and manufacturer relationships that we heavily focus on. It's good data, we know it's quality data, we know what we're looking at. Our history in the past, for people who haven't been here long, we actually used to have a long list of publishers. We still do today, but a lot of our data now is retail and manufacturer data, where a couple of years ago we used to use a lot of these big publishers to get these kind of data points, but now the value is really in the retailer and manufacturer. So we do have a stronger offering because of that, and it produces results like Home Depot and HP renewals that go beyond words. Go beyond saying that these audiences that we're reaching and that we're tagging actually work. We don't force our partners also to do any of the work. We do it for them. So once we give them a tag, we do have an option, we do have a dynamic tag where if a partner of ours wanted to assign a product category or something, we could. But we don't ask them to do that. That's a request they're coming to us about saying, we want to do that. For Quantcast, every time the client has to do it, whether it's a publisher or some big partner that they have to do it themselves. We are a full funnel player. We have top-of-the-line bidding algorithms, just like they do. And I'm sure you guys all know about them. So we can compete with Quantcast on that. What separates us is we prospect for better data. We're not using that publisher data all the time. We're using the retail and manufacturer data. So think about users going to the top of the funnel. We're more qualified. We have better quality users. We engage with better data along with product offerings. So our FBX data is not just publisher data. It's not just run of FBX. It's including our retailer and manufacturer data. Same with rich media and pre-rolls. So we can hit people and re-engage them in the middle of the funnel with better data. And obviously, our retargeting is awesome. It's driven so much of our success in the conversion world that we have such efficiencies with our last touch strategies. A lot of our bidding algorithms that we have that just really speak volumes to the bottom of the funnel attribution that we get and all these pre-rolls we get from conversion campaigns. And obviously, our entrance into shopper marketing and co-op dollars that you guys all hear about. Not a lot of people are doing that right now. Steve Sarah said, we're targeting shoppers buy shit. Nobody's really doing that as much as we are. So we're really hitting that shopper marketing data. And biggest, the COEX platform. Quantcast does not have a COEX platform. We connect retailers and manufacturers together, small guys, big guys, and things. We connect them all together. We give them a platform to form those relationships without having to be a middleman and doing all this paper stuff. It's in COEX. People can come in, set up their own campaigns, make a data partnership. It sets us completely apart from anybody else. And you guys all know these brands, these are our partners, which you don't see that on podcasts. Yeah, you see NBC.com, BuzzFeed. If you go on any of those sites, you'll see a gajillion pixels on their site. If you go to any one of these guys, it's not as long a list. So we are very premium in that sense. most importantly, no bees. Questions? Cool.
Actually, I have my info question. So for the product, for the monitoring of the websites, you said it's free on their site, but do they have a sales team that goes out and pushes it on people too, or is it more like they just wait for people to take it?
I don't know. That's a really good question. They didn't really talk about a sales team or anything about people trying to strike deals and relationships. I'm assuming to talk to an ABC, NBC, somebody has to go talk to somebody. They're not just coming in there. But literally, like, we grab that tag from their site.
What do they get? What's it?
They don't get anything. They get that free platform where they can
So they
sign
can
in.
get data
They
about
can
their
sell
own
that
audience,
data to
their own audience.
No, but what does Yelp, like, when Yelp is doing it, what do they
Yep.
get?
So it's almost like a Google Analytics tag. They go into this robust platform and see this cross-channel user flow. They can see a robust. They get the platform. They can sign into the platform, see what their user activity is, look at the demographic data that they have. So they get this free reporting and this free platform that they can really get into, and that's what the free offering is. But then, like Ryan said, podcasts on the flip side can now use that data and repackage it and sell it. So for us, we're striking deals with people, giving our partners a cut. I'm not sure if podcast is giving their publishers that cut.
But the publishers can compare their data against their competitors.
Correct.
And again, for like some of the demographic stuff, like if it's age, income,
Yep.
gender, that's all user defined, so it requires that somebody actually log in and create a profile for themselves,
Correct.
which is probably
Essentially
a small
across their
portion
entire site.
for
Yeah.
some, depending on what
Exactly.
the site is.
Yeah.
How do they differentiate competitive, like the data that, if you place a pixel on one of the publisher sites, like does the publisher have any say of how they use that data?
They did have some options, like whether making their data public, shareable, or private. So I think there is some, after you place your tag, there's some decisions to be made, whether you want Quantcast to always use it, if it has to be private, or if you just want to use it so they could observe and track audiences, use their prospect report, but they won't actively target your
So
audience.
they could use it for
Yes. I think they need approval, but I also think that they're probably using that stats that they have to run their algorithms, whether they target the users or not. I don't know. Cool. Any other questions? Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Oh, and Rebecca? We'll take a little break on that.
Really? I wish.
Okay.
Okay. Are you guys ready? Yeah. Okay, cool. Alex, you want to start off?
Okay, so our presentation is for advertising.com, and it's a division of AOL platforms. We're going to be starting off with a company overview. Basically, advertising.com is a programmatic buying proprietary DSP, and it's exclusive to AOL inventory, which makes it unique. It was founded in 1998, headquarters are in Baltimore. It was acquired by AOL in 2004, so now technically their headquarters would be in New York, but the under-parent company of advertising.com is still in Baltimore. They have 596 million global unique visitors, and they can reach consumers across desktop, both pre-roll and display, mobile, tablet, as well as connected TVs. The way they position themselves in the market, only not being the oldest and first company of our kind, they also like to consider themselves the best. Their number one priority they consider themselves the best at is their inventory. So as you can see, they said no high risk, low quality inventory here, only the best and lots of it. Something they promote a lot of is that their inventory is the most premium. They run on these 6,000 sites. They can put your ads anywhere on the page and get the best results. They decreased their CPRs by 6 times what the industry averages and conversion rates by 8 times. And they do that by putting the right message on the right screen for the right person at the right time to drive the best results. Another way they position themselves in the market is being a parent, underparent of the AOL company. That way they have the best technology. They use AOL's clients, AOL's employees, and they're able to kind of succeed because of AOL.
So next we're going to go over a few of their product offerings, one being their platform, which is called One. AdLearn, which is their optimization technology. AdLearn Open Platform reports and insights that they send out, targeting ad formats, premium brand solutions, and last, Display University. So first I'm just going to go over their ad.com platform, which again is called One. Basically, their inventory, they have premium inventory across mobile, text, view, and web. 74, including 74 Comscore's top 100 sites, as well as they have 30 or more content verticals and categories, including sports enthusiast site lists, farmer site lists, and a ton more. And then they have an entire catalog of AOL properties. Some of their results that they see through the platform being, as Alex said before, increased CTRs by 6 times using cross-platform net blocks, and using their behavioral targeting, they've seen increased conversion rates by 8 times. Some of their data that they acquired from multiple sources, publishers, advertisers, third parties, including Datalogic, BlueSky, XLate, and a few others, and also their own proprietary data. And then one of their technologies that I'm going to dive a little deeper in next is AdLearn, which is their ad optimization and bid management system. So again, to do a little deeper dive into AdLearn, what is AdLearn? It determines the best ads to serve for each and every impression on the advertising.com network. AdLearn considers demographic, advertiser budget, placement options, geography, and user behaviors, and places ads precisely where they are most likely to get results at that very moment. The value of this being and how does their optimization, differ and stand apart is their main function is to help advertisers and publishers meet their business objectives by maximizing the value of each and every placement. AdLearn promises competitive pricing, access to target audiences, and valuable back-end data to learn from.
Alright, then moving on to their open platform. So this is basically the UI that they offer. You can access optimization technology that's proprietary, reach, and their inventory. Advertisers are able to log in and manage and analyze their campaigns. They can optimize to any success metric that they want and segment to the placement level. And they boast full transparency and complete control over your campaign. And then moving on to some of their reporting, so it has kind of like some weird names. Monopoly Cards is most like our branded overlap report. It segments visitors into categories and compares activity to overall site visitors, so you can target the successful segments. Bubble charts, that shows how likely segments are to engage with your site. And visitor intent, that's kind of like our point report. You can learn what visitors are interested in by tracking activity after they leave their site, where they're going, are they going to your competitors, etc. And then the 2x2 report, that lets you see who clicked and how much. The Strategic Insights platform, so this will basically compare your campaign performance against their standard demographics, such as age and gender, and their performance is measured by view, clicks, and conversion.
So for targeting, they have 2 different kinds. They have behavioral, just like the regular segment targeting like OneRanQ has. Each addressable is household targeting level, so that it can actually target loyalty card user survey base or purchase database. For advanced model audiences, they have a lookalike model where they target similar users based on AOL search data, their pixel data, and their purchase data. And then they also have something called Shopper Scan, which they target audiences based on their customers' behavioral events and purchases. Then they have Leadback, which they target who has been to their website, seen their ads searched on AOL search, like I said. And then they have normal demographic, age, income, gender, kids. They could actually target women 25 to 40. Geographic, and then for tech, it's interesting, they can see what part of the domain and connection speed, what browser you're on, what operating system you're using, so that was interesting. The Devil Network, the Devil Creative is 300 by 1050, and it's just like a full screen, so if you're on like an iPad, it will actually take up the whole screen. And the Creative brings traditional media assets online. It offers high definition. All their creatives, they say, are 100% above the fold and are on a brand safe site. They say it beats industry benchmarks for brand awareness, engagement, and purchase intent. The Super Channel, they have 30 curated Super Channels that are Comscore's top 200 sites. These are influential niche publishers, which are 100%, like I said, above the fold, brand safe. No digging through on the site when you go to it. And then for NetBlocks, they reach 85% of U.S. internet population. They have the ability to find specific demographics and behavioral segments across multiple sites, and are able to reach consumers wherever they go online.
Okay, so ad.com versus UnRIQ. So ad.com has a lot of cross-platform technology, which UnRIQ does not have. They also have the ability to target on mobile, which I think we're stepping within our toes in right now, but we haven't actually fully executed that product yet. They can also target demographic. We can't do that, but I would argue that our type of data is more legitimate and better and more accurate. Dynamic, they have the ability to dynamically retarget and serve a user an ad. I think that Richard touched on dynamic and creative previously. That's really beneficial, especially for CPA-based campaigns or ROI-based campaigns where you're trying to get a user to actually make a specific purchase. They also have Display University. This is actually like a whole portion of their site dedicated to going through like exactly what display is, how a user can set up a campaign, kind of like a 101 of how to achieve your goals, how to set up a campaign, which I think would be really a great tool, especially for like our PTM partners and smaller advertisers. They also have a UI, kind of like Coex, but it's a little bit more like they can actually go in, set up their campaigns, like basically have everything, all the information about the campaign within that screen. I know that we do that for our BTM partners and some of the smaller advertisers, but I know how to roll out, and the agencies don't utilize that as much as things like they do for ad.com. They also have premium offerings, which Alyssa touched on as well. Those premium offerings are a little bit more like full, like a takeover or something that they can expand their reach and target an entire audience for a short period of time. So how UnRIQ differs and kind of the benefits of UnRIQ over ad.com. We utilize passive purchase targeting. So our data is, I would argue, more legitimate because it's actual shopper data, and like Steve said, shoppers buy our shit. So we also have retailer targeted marketing, so we're hitting, and vendor targeted marketing, so we're hitting like a subsection of advertisers that may not necessarily fit into an agency style setting. We also have Optimus, Coex, and Ranger. They have similar technologies as we do, but again, utilizing our like Ranger technology and going after converters seems like a little bit of a different tactic that we use. We also utilize FBX. I didn't see anything on their website about FBX, so that definitely is a key differentiator, and if we're able to utilize that for them, we definitely will have a leg up in terms of achieving the sort of CPA that and ROI goals that are set forth for us. CTR transparency, they did talk a lot about increasing CTR, and they also talked about it in terms of increasing CTR and increasing conversions, which I thought was very interesting. So again, OwnerIQ is a little bit more transparent about that, where we offer, we'll educate the clients on what we believe and how we set forth, going after a CTR goal. And if they're really just interested in getting that click, then we'll be transparent and let them know that that data is mostly unfiltered. And then our reporting suite, they did have an extensive reporting suite, especially within their UI at Learn. And some of the reports were similar, but one thing we did notice is that they don't do an analysis of the conversion data and use that as optimizing. They do something kind of at the end where they look at conversions, but it's not something that they're utilizing all the time in their algorithms. And so some case studies. Okay, so a couple of different case studies. So I don't know if you guys can see this. Okay, so this is a telecom. This was during key times during the year, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, where the advertiser wants you to get the most out of that time of year. And what they did is they do like a block where they try to get as much reach as possible. And with that, they saw a 32 increase of the traditional CPA campaign, 495 more conversions over that 4 days that it ran. They also delivered an additional 1.1 million impressions, so it's really maximizing that online brand awareness and that reach. We're starting to roll it out for RTM, where we're providing products that focus in on those times of year and that are more seasonal. So that's something that is very similar to what we'll be looking at. Cross-platform optimization. So this is something that we currently don't have right now, but and is definitely a threat in terms of efficiency. If a user searches for something on their laptop and then purchases on their tablet, we may continue to hit them because we didn't think that they converted. So this is something that seems to really help in terms of their efficiency. And they talk a lot about CTR here, increasing CTR and increasing reach as well. And then this is a use of their dynamic ads, and again, like I said, they talk about CTR, increasing CTR and increasing conversions at the same time. But I think that the use of dynamic ads can definitely be a threat because they will be targeting someone for a specific product or specific ad that they would fall into to get the user to convert easily.
Max had his hands at the ready. I thought he was going to raise this.
Okay, so we break the game a little bit. Might notice that we're all on the category mid-market team. And the reason that we did that is that we're going to be combining two companies, Brand.net and MaxPoint. And these are actually companies that we're running into a lot particularly in the mid-market, in the shopper marketing categories. So we thought it would be good for us to really do this deep dive, and now we'll share with you guys.
So just as Stu said, you may not run across these as often on the agency side, and we'll go into why in just a moment as we intro them. But these two kind of found their niche, going from print advertising to the digital ad space. And we'll see how that plays a role in what their targeting capabilities are and how they like to hone in on their audience. So as advertising began to change, consumers moving online, circulars and print media became only part of their picture. So instead of relying on that Sunday newspaper, insert to reach all their consumers, they needed to move online, and these ad networks started to figure out how to do that. So soon enough, companies such as MapPoint and Brand.net found ways to mirror this door-to-door delivery with their online consumers. So how did they do that? How did they mimic this sort of very, very hyper-local targeting? And why would they want to do that? So just a couple questions to keep in mind. So kind of the catchphrases with them are that you're more likely to be similar to your neighbor than anybody else. Even if you're interested in tennis and someone in a different city close to is interested in tennis, nope, that doesn't trump everything. They think that your neighbor is more likely to purchase that same product than the other person. So what they kind of focus in on is, and we'll talk about it a little bit more as we go into each one, is touting their geo-targeting capabilities and their access to offline data. But before we go into that, Deuce mentioned our categories teams and our BTM mid-markets teams run into them. And this is just a brief breakdown of where exactly and the initial challenges that they see there. So the categories team is going client direct, and where they're running into Brand.net and MapPoint is particularly in the CPG sector. So with products such as cereals, diapers, think Huggies, things like that, products that are usually purchased closer to one's home, and have been advertised in circulars on a weekly basis for years and years. And then the BTM mid-markets team is running up against this with local retailers who want to target very particular zip radius around their store. They're either not savvy enough to understand that online advertising takes in multiple components because they're used to either radio or TV, or they may not have the media budgets or the need to advertise on a wider scale. So Brand.net and MapPoint, who've been there, and we'll go into how they do that.
So we're going to start with Brand.net. They're the digital offering of the media company Velasas. So Velasas works with print and direct mail. Brand.net was acquired by Velasas in 2012 for, I believe, $18 million. They have several offices across the U.S. in New York, Chicago, and San Francisco are just a few of those. We actually spoke with a former employee that worked at Velasas and Brand.net that provided us some insight. And prior to Velasas actually acquiring Brand.net, Brand.net was kind of on its way to bankruptcy.
Who was the former employee?
I don't know if we can disclose that. We just couldn't put his picture up on the slide.
Yeah. But for those of you who know Chris Gregg, he previously worked at Velasas and he worked with Brand.net, and Brand.net was their way into the digital space.
So Brand.net's product offerings, they have something which are called ATZs, and they are the advertising targeting zones. So they essentially break down a zip code into even smaller areas, and they focus on these highly geo-targeted campaigns, much like you said, focusing on your neighbor rather than your internet browsing habits. They also offer mobile, pre-roll display, and offline advertising. So they claim to combine their online data with their offline data, but Chris actually let us know that they don't do that. They kind of say they do, but they have a very robust inventory of offline data just from circulars and things like that, and that's how they created these ATZs. They're based on like the last 4 numbers of your zip code, like it's a 9-digit zip. They base the ATZs on that information. So they've broken it down here into a graphic they have on their site looking at households that are 5 people or more, with children between 5 and 12 years old that are Hispanic, and just seeing which area, which neighborhood essentially fits that geo-targeting.
So how they position themselves in the marketplace is just really emphasizing on their ability to use precise geo-targeting. And they say that this targeting technology is able to deliver probability over possibility and provides action over exposure. And they say that they're the leading ad network for reimagining reach for its global clients by integrating offline and online data and providing the best targeted reach in the digital industry. So some of what their sales reps would do, they would go to the client and say, we have the ability to highly target these geos that you're looking for. We're going to zero in on these like 5 zip ATZs. And then from there, they'll kind of mention, because we all know how targeting is with zip targeting. It's not scalable. We end up into pacing issues, performance issues, etc. In this case, you're breaking them down even further. So just imagine, from our perspective, targeting these ATZs, you're going to run into issues. So from their perspective, they kind of phrased it as, to make sure that we're catching all the users, we're going to layer in DMA targeting, but we're going to focus on these ATZs as hotspots. But in actuality, they're just targeting all of the DMA and including this data.
So their data and inventory, they reach consumers just in time on multiple screens, whether it's across mobile, tablet, PC, and they capitalize on thousands of long-standing publisher direct relationships. They have access to real-time inventory. They engage and connect through rich media for the best branding experience. And surprisingly, they do not gather information through pixels. Why don't they have cookies? It's a great question. Kevin Malone doesn't know the answer. We don't know the answer. As far as people going towards cookieless advertising, they've just never used it. They really focus on these ATZs and they focus on their offline information, but they really, I think it's just an excuse because they don't have pixels and they can't back up any real measurable data.
So to talk about their technology, as we mentioned before, they use ATZs. This is like one of the main things that they talk about on their website. They don't have they don't go in depth on their site. They don't have anything that kind of provides you with real information. They also use SafeScreen, which is sort of like our brand safe. What this does is it says in real time, it searches for the web for brand safe sites. So it will scour the page for like inappropriate terms, and then will not use that when they go to bid on opportunities. But in actuality, they have a whitelist that they have deemed safe, and they use this for a majority of their campaigns. And they claim to target across multiple devices, but they don't actually provide information on how they target across those devices and connect the users.
So for their successes, their main objective is to effectively optimize each campaign, managing reach and frequency. And we know this now because they don't have pixels and they can't give you site views or conversions. So their goal is just to go out and hit as many people in that ATZ or that area. And according to their case studies, they have demonstrated lift in purchase intent, click-through rate, and integrated campaigns that drove 4 times more customers. We have an example here of one of the largest distributors of processed foods, and just claimed that they drove volume on mature canned food products. Is that what they call it? I don't know, it's weird. I've never heard mature canned food products. But that's what they claim, their purchase intent, their click-through rate, coupon print rate. From some of their other case studies, a lot of their claims were things that aren't really as measurable or tangible in the way where we would provide our clients with really solid information.
And to go into the additional insights and kind of the reporting, they don't have the ability to optimize real time. Everything is kind of at the end of the campaign. Was speaking with Chris, when they provide their clients with reporting, it's just your basic delivery from a placement level, just showing your impressions, clicks, and CTR. They don't actually have the technology to actually optimize towards clicks or click-through rate. They really talk about optimizing towards reach, so just getting out those impressions in front of as many different users. And then at the end, they just provide those campaign metrics. So again, just your impressions, clicks, and CTR. And if they're going to provide information on like purchase intent, they're going to partner with like Comscore or Nielsen to provide additional reporting.
And it was interesting talking with Chris, just like going over the website, and I forget, I think Abby said the site, they tout all these things, but then stuff that they don't know, they just don't cover it all. Going over the site with Chris, and a lot of things, he's just like, yeah, like they don't really do that, or this is what they actually do. So it was really interesting seeing all the things that they claim to do, combining their data pools offline and online, and things like that. Being someone who worked there, he was at Blast, I think, for 7 or 8 years, and then the last year or so after acquiring Brand.net. So it's interesting to see someone who had worked there really know what's going on, like behind the scenes. And they might have a nice, pretty site, but it looks like a lot of stuff they can't really back up.
And in our space, we come across users that aren't as sophisticated with display. There's been times that I've had to communicate like what an impression is, what click-through rate is. So, you know, a user that doesn't know the digital space is going to go to their website and see, oh wow, they can do highly targeted geo-targeting for me and really reach those consumers, and they don't really care about all the other data that we would be able to provide them with.
Do they report on location with ads are served? Like using, like say they're trying to use zip codes and they target whole DNA, do they report that back to the user at all or no?
I didn't find any information that said that they did that.
So I just going to talk about MaxPoint. This is what their vision is, to drive in-store sales for advertising by helping them reach the right neighborhoods online for their local, regional, and national campaigns. They were founded in 2006. They're out of North Carolina, but they do have sales offices across the United States and London. They received $11 million in funding, $3 million, and then $8 million a year later. Couldn't find any revenue data. They're a private company, but they were named the 9th fastest growing company in North America by Deloitte in their Tech Fast 500. So we kind of covered what they do. Their main product offering is this hybrid geo-targeted advertising. They call it neighborhood level, and they do that for online, display, mobile, and video. Specifically, they say they have solutions to increase foot traffic in stores. Anytime you have a store opening, they think they're a good fit. Also product launches and event promotions. As far as what verticals they're in retail, restaurants, entertainment, pharmaceutical, CPG, which is what Amelia explained, and is really where we're running into them a lot. And then healthcare and automotive. So the way they position themselves, in reading different interviews with their CEO and some materials on their website, they claim that national retailers waste 20 to 40% of their spend on people who are not located within the proximity of their store. So I don't know if you guys like me get frustrated when you see commercials for restaurants that aren't in your neighborhood, like Sonic or Scream, Papa John's, and Peyton Manning. You're nowhere near me. Don't show me advertising. So that's the problem that they can claim to solve. They allow targeting at the neighborhood level, and they offer again that zip radius to your particular store. So they say that they're the most effective in-market shopper solution, using online and offline data to reach the most relevant customers. And Max is going to speak about the technology.
Now, obviously, they have a really cool name, but one of the bigger things that they hang their hats on is this, as you said, their digital zip tool. And there's actually a slide later in the case studies that will kind of provide more insight as to what that zip tool looks like and how they're able to deliver using it. But one of the parts that kept coming up that they like to measure, and one of the statistics they give, is that this digital zip tool allows them to create a 6 to 8 mile radius around stores that the product is being sold at, which obviously gives them the ability to reach consumers that are actually located close to the stores that they're selling through. They rank and index these neighborhoods based on each campaign's target audience, and
like I said, the customized store radius product that's offered for each campaign. It touts the ability to use a third-party online and offline data to target at this geo level. They say that they have researchers that analyze 4 billion data points per day. I'm not sure how many researchers it takes to analyze that many points per day. I would think that's a good portion of their the money they spend, but there's actually no mention of where the data is sourced from. And they also say they use complex algorithms and machine learnings to optimize against CTR, video completes, coupon downloads, purchases, and other success metrics. So they do have the ability to optimize towards a range of metrics, kind of like what we do. They are really into touting their success in specific case studies. So a lot of the case studies listed on their website have concrete numbers that consumer or potential customer can look into to kind of see if they're the correct fit for that. Some of the case studies that they show are a boosted Mercedes test drive signups. They showed a 6 times increase in ROI for the Essence magazine sales. And they also raise awareness for CoverGirl lip color among Hispanic women, because I guess Hispanic women aren't really into lip color as much. I did see a quote that kind of summarized their view on how they gauge their campaign based on data. It was almost kind of like a mission statement, and it was the most successful ad campaigns build from the right data to get as specific as possible while still retaining a wide enough reach to make a difference. Now, it kind of seems like a contradictory sentence because they're using very specific data and providing a large reach. But this actually gives you an idea of what they mean by that. Now, this is for a Huggies campaign that they say that they delivered a 50% sales lift. What they do is they obviously isolated a demographic that they're looking to target diaper sales to, so women in a certain age range that have young kids have demonstrated that. And so this is kind of a better look at their neighborhood marketing tool where, I don't know if you guys can see the key located at the bottom, but the lighter shaded region is a traditional DMA. And then that darker shading is their max point neighborhood targeting. Now you'll notice that the max point neighborhood targeting is kind of centered around those blue squares, which are the store locations that they'll be selling their products through. So that kind of gives you an idea of how specific they're able to get with this neighborhood targeting. There was also a case study that kind of gave a better idea of the scope of the ways they're able to use their data, and that they're able to isolate the top 10 US neighborhoods interested in allergy relief. So with that really specific data, they can go even more granular, and they're able to use weather data to kind of predict when someone living in that area will be exposed to the most allergens after a humid day or something like that. So then they said they were able to increase the buying during a day following a humid day or a day where there are high pollen counts and things like that. But then scaling up from that, they were also able to kind of use this data to market, to allow furniture stores to market hypoallergenic furniture, or restaurants to market gluten-free options and other allergy-related things. So that kind of gives an idea of that mission statement where they use this hyper-specific data, and they can use it as specifically as targeting this region during this type of weather, but then they can also look at it in targeting, allowing furniture stores to target someone who's looking for hypoallergenic furniture. So that kind of gives an idea of the scope of their data.
So what threats do they specifically pose to us? So just a couple bullet points. The first one, which we've heard over and over, is that they're spin masters. They have really good marketing materials. I think Max Point beat out Brand.net a little bit. And right on that side, we have a little bit of a snapshot of their blog. So they have a Twitter presence, they have a blog where their consumers can post and ask questions. But you'll notice a lot of their articles are basically just their own advertisements. Like, can a hyperlocal really work for national brands? Or do your direct ad buys need hyperlocal assist? So they're very clever in how they place that in a sort of faux intellectual conversation, but it's really just their own marketing. So they're great at leveraging that to create the solution that they've really cornered the market. But going down here, they kind of have already. They have a head start on us, so we're just starting to enter that niche environment, and we have to compete against them since their name is so recognized. The second big threat is access to offline purchase data. So MaxPoint in particular has access to contracts with large retailers such as Walmart, Target, credit card companies such as MasterCard, American Express, where they can get sales data. And while we do have partnerships with retailers and manufacturers, we don't necessarily see sales lift. And so when we get on these calls with clients, we're flying a little bit blind unless we have pixel placement or explicit data sharing that these retailers have given us. Multi-level optimization. So this is most like what we say we can do. We can integrate multi-channels to reach consumers from different angles. So they also have data overlays that they claim to have, whether it's third party in Brand.net's case, or first party and third party for MaxPoint. And we'll go into why that's more kind of a marketing thing than reality in just a moment. And then main focus is in highly geo-targeted campaigns. The Radius tool, which we also have, but their clientele does look to that as kind of this huge success on there, that they can hyper target that. And lastly, direct relationships with multiple publishers, so they have the ability to leverage site takeovers, which we can do on our Mo.com site, but only on that site. They have multiple publisher sites they can do that on. So I'm a little bit cocky. But so we do think we're a better choice, and here's why. So the biggest difference is that we use our own data through our own pixeling, and we have data transparency with our clients. We can provide reporting that shows, what segments are popping, what's being targeted, how we're optimizing, and we saw none of that across both of these. That's the biggest thing here. Our data and our technology do the talking, so we have prospecting that's highly developed in terms of algorithms, our retargeting, and neither of these mention any of that. They say algorithms, technology, but they don't really go into prospecting or searching anybody else except for, neighborhood or geo. RTM and VTM relationships. So the best example of this is that, when we come across this with our VTM channel, let's say there's Doug's Appliance, in Wyoming. So they'll hone in on that neighborhood without thinking, not everyone in that neighborhood is buying a refrigerator over the next 3 months. I'm sure somebody is, but we have that manufacturer audience that's layered in on top of it. So we know those people are in market, we know how recent they are, so they throw that out the window, not completely, but pretty much. To a large extent, they don't have algorithms where, we try to keep our geolocations large enough. We don't want to go that hyper-focused because we let our machines do the work, figure out who's most like the other person, instead of making assumptions. But they go very, very small and then say that they're optimizing. That seems kind of like an impossibility. And then just a quick graphic to show basically the same thing. That we consider ourselves a much more multi-layered approach where, all three of us have the same geo-targeting capacity to some extent. We can, maybe we can't hotspot so much, but we can in some ways. There's hacks to do it. We can geo-target with the Radius tool. All three of us have data, here being third-party data, so quality-wise, a little bit different. First party here with their own pixeling process, but they're opaque. So we have our unique data, relationships as well as transparency, but most importantly, full funnel path to purchase activity, or more of the how we use our data. And that we recognize that profiling consumers by geo and demo doesn't really take into account the complexity of consumer behavior. So, we factor in brand loyalty, also that people are willing to travel, it's a big expense, things like that. It seems like they're leaving out of the conversation.
The end.
Yeah, the end.
Any questions? I really should say that first.
Oh, it's premature.
Alright, so last but not least, we have Rocket Fuel, one of the market leaders in this landscape. Alright, so a bit of a company overview. Rocket Fuel was founded in 2008. They have 710 employees. I got this graphic right from their website. They were ranked #1 for Deloitte's Technology Fast 500, and they have 1,251 active customers right now. They're headquartered in Redwood City, California, and you can see they have offices all over the U.S. and internationally in Amsterdam, Hamburg, London, Paris, Madrid, Toronto, Milan, and Stockholm. So they have a very wide international reach as well. They have two main targeting strategies that they focused on their website. One is a target audience and one is in-market audience. The target audience, this actually kind of, the Quantcast team was talking about the two, both measure and advertise. It kind of reminds me of Rocket Fuel's. Target audience focuses on branding, and the in-market audience focuses on DR campaigns, driving sales, things like that. They also have unique audience segments similar to ours. These segments seem to be built off of demographic data rather than the brands and products that we build ours off of. But they're similar to ours, such as soccer moms, moms on the go, auto buyers, similar segments to us. And then from experience, we know that they especially enjoy retargeting.
Okay, so their product offerings, they have very similar to us, display, video, and then mobile offerings. Their display is data-driven targeting. As Kara was just mentioning, they do target audience and in-market, so brand campaigns and PR campaigns. They do retargeting. And then they boast on their site their proven success is they deliver more efficient conversions and ROI for your advertising dollars, 250% better or more. For video, they have their video boosters, pre-roll and mid-roll, and it's always user-initiated, and they never utilize autoclick below the fold. And then for mobile, they have their mobile booster. They said that they have access to more than 8,000 publishers and more than 80 million unique customers per month, and they look at click-to-actions and post-click actions. They do mobile video, rich media, and video on their mobile as well. And then they also talk about, they have their Rocket Fuel boosted FBX, so they are doing FBX campaigns as well. They have solutions for publishers, marketers, and they also talk about a CPG and an auto booster, so more industry-specific solutions. In their marketing position, so Rocket Fuel claims to be the leading provider of artificial intelligence solutions for advertising, optimally delivering on digital campaigns across the web, mobile, video, and social. They offer different technology that figures it out for themselves across a wide range of marketing objectives. They provide more layers of information online and offline about a user to help advertisers target their campaign more effectively and drive higher conversions. They, on their site, say that successful marketers who work with Rocket Fuel reap the rewards of unmatched speed, agility, and performance that can be matched by no one. They think very highly of themselves. They also have a global presence in North America, Europe, and Japan. They talk a lot about their platform being built by data scientists and PhDs. They like to talk about rocket scientists built their platform. And then they deliver exactly the right ad to exactly the right person at exactly the right time across all addressable media. Rocket Fuel does this at scale, never seen in the history of marketing technology. And then just some of their accolades there.
So Rocket Fuel collects or uses data from a number of third-party data providers. You can see a handful of them on the right here. They don't have any of their first-party data relationships like OnRQ does. A couple of the stats that they mention on their website is they see roughly 10 billion opportunities a day through multiple exchanges. I couldn't nail down exactly which exchanges they were bidding through, but they're doing RTP just like us. They say that they have 20,000 unique audience segments, which seems like a large number. 27 mobile ecosystem partners, so that's more data partners specifically for mobile inventory. And then, like I said, they don't reveal which exchanges they're partnered with, but how they can optimize towards a number of different things: demographics, context, meaning when you're looking at a site and what else is going on in the news, like that kind of thing. Social, which is Facebook. They say like track million people interested in
Just Chucky.
And then they like to talk about how they can track like a history of the user through their data partners. They're buying this data from other companies, including product affinities, revealing past purchases, and different interactions with their social sites, that kind of thing. Their technology, their slogan is artificial intelligence, real results. So they really like to have their AI engine that they built from the ground up using custom built computers, using solid state drives, which are 15 times faster than disk drives, that kind of thing. So like we were mentioning before, they really hammer home this idea that they were built by rocket scientists from the ground up. Their engineering team is the owner of 75 unique patents, that kind of thing. And then one thing that they always try and use as an advertising pitch is this booster technology, rocket boosters. And for example, the mobile booster uses the online desktop data and extrapolates that out to mobile campaigns. And they've seen pretty similar results from which indices or which segments are indexing high, that kind of thing. And then I thought this was interesting when they were talking about their results they've seen on mobile video specifically, an 18.5% CTR, which seems ridiculously high, meaning 1 out of every 5 bots is clicking on their on their videos for some reason on mobile. 70% user completion, that kind of thing. So in general, their technology offering is very similar to OwnerIQ. I think the one that separates us right now is definitely the mobile offering, where they do display video.
So in terms of like success metrics, as you'll see, it's pretty much the same as kind of what we offer today in terms of what they're really talking about. The one thing that I'd say that they put more emphasis on is really what they can do around branding. So we kind of talk about branding as one metric, and they kind of talk about it more in terms of awareness, consideration, and purchase intent, and really kind of emphasize those things. They also talked about how they use like ESU and dynamic logic studies, kind of get some more data around people, and then optimize it or find lookalike things around people that are similar to those types of people. And then, like I said, everything else, really was the same in terms of CPA and ROI. And in terms of kind of all the case studies on their site, they have about like 50, so feel free to go read them all. But they all kind of have the same headline, 35% increased ROI, same thing, like 50% decreased CPA. So very similar, but in terms of kind of how they push it forward, it's a little more in your face than you need to have it. In terms of like kind of additional features, they also do have a reporting tool that we do in COEX, and they kind of talked about it in terms of like 3 tiers of reporting, and they kind of called out like what you get. So honestly, it's not too different from what we typically provide. There's kind of a basic campaign summary of trending, which is pretty much what we provide for the most part, and then kind of layering on top of that, you go to the next tier, you kind of get time of day, day of the week. And I'd say that those are some insights that we probably have, some but we don't necessarily expose to our external users kind of on a regular basis. And then the one thing they do kind of include is the recommended optimizations for future campaigns. And then kind of the third tier is, getting some more of those like psychographic and propensities in terms of what people are leaning to or what you can do. Those are types of things that we don't typically provide, but then again, we do have kind of more direct feedback in terms of like what manufacturer products they're looking at and brands and stuff like that. So since they don't have that detail, they kind of go up a little bit to a higher level. And then they also talked about how they measure offline impact with Nielsen. And I looked through all the use cases trying to find one specifically kind of focused on that, because I know that's kind of a hot topic for us, and obviously you drive offline impact, and pretty good story to tell. And honestly, the one
case study they had that kind of talked about that was kind of a bird's eye, like frozen vegetable type campaign. But they really, in the actual results, weren't really talking that much about offline performance. They talked about CPA and stuff like that, but they really didn't highlight this partnership they have with Nielsen. But they claim to have it, and I'm not sure if they almost seems to me that they might be using it a little bit more upfront for the campaign, where they kind of suck in some of that offline data and use it to find people that are similar to those types of offline shoppers. But it was kind of hard to nail down per se. And then the other thing I just noticed was like a little bit different was that they have all these things for advertisers, but they kind of had a section that was geared towards publishers. And while we work with the publishers and give them rev share and stuff like that in exchange for their data, what they were kind of pushing for these publishers was you guys sell campaigns directly to people. Let us help you kind of scale those campaigns, deliver them in full, drive more traffic to your site. So just kind of a different spin kind of on what we do with our publisher partners. So I just thought that was interesting to kind of call out separately.
Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about how we sort of compare to Rocket Fuel. This just sort of to kind of lay it all out to a nice little chart for you guys. So this is kind of basic review, but in terms of product offerings, we hit on this a little bit. They do have a mobile offering. They are leading that in that category right now in comparison to us. In terms of our market positioning, also very similar. Our data, of course, is a little more unique than theirs because they are using third-party data, as we discussed a little bit. So in comparison, I mean, we're looking at active in-market shoppers as opposed to the third-party data and the online and offline data they're getting from other sources. In terms of technology, really there wasn't a whole lot that sort of distinguished them on that front. They call it artificial intelligence, we call it Ranger. It's sort of not really too much of a difference there. It's very similar. Success metrics. And in terms of additional features, we do have some differences in product offerings. So they have, again, their audience accelerator. They also do provide a marketing suite. So not only are they sort of like a full service company, but they do offer a sort of DIY product very similar to Coex as well. Whereas we have the BTM, RTM, and we also focus on mid-markets, whereas they're going after sort of like the big brands, which we do as well, but we of course cater to mid-markets. So in terms of the threats that they sort of pose besides having, I would say, arguably one of the coolest names in the industry, they are really good at their marketing. They're really good at, taking a lot of pride in their work and what they do, and taking a lot of pride in sort of who their team is composed of. And again, they're really aggressive about talking about their scale, their performance, and how well they're doing compared to the industry as a whole. So whether or not we know it's actually, truthful, I mean, it is a different story. Marketing. They have the marketing suites and mobile, but I think one of the other big threats that we considered was that, given that they have a lot of very similar resources, a lot of similar technology, there is potential that if they did come up with those first-party data partnerships, they would have, sort of that ability to access a similar pool of data, and then they can run very similar products like our BTM and RTM campaigns. So.
Yeah, they just really kind of hammer home like how they can scale their campaigns, a lot. That's something that we don't necessarily lead with, and it seems like they really lead with that.
Well, basically, since Rocket Fuel went public, they just released their quarter one earnings from 2014, and their stock has plummeted 22% after dismal numbers. So it's not all looking great for them.
I have a question, but this is funny because when I was doing ad.com research, they said something about like, this isn't rocket science or something, and I was like, it's a weird thing to say. So it's Jake.
Alright, well, thanks everyone. We're gonna try to do this, hopefully like once a quarter, once every 2 months. Just informally, what do you guys think? Like, do you like the deep dives and the team efforts, or the, everyone rattle through individually, in about 5 minutes or so?
I like the team effort
I think so too.
You're more motivated to actually do your work. You're working with other people.
Yeah, and
rather than
I
on
think
your own.
I think we'll remember this stuff as opposed to I forget what happened. That might just be me.
Yeah. I think having less, doing the less at one time is.
Yeah. So cool. Well, thanks
Yep.
guys. Appreciate
And
it.
I was gonna say, we should take these presentations along with the other ones that were given previously, and maybe put them in either put them in Google Doc or put them somewhere in the KB. I think that might be good, that way folks can access it for a later date if they wanna have a refresher.
Yeah, agreed.
So, thanks everyone, nice job.